Hello, everyone. This is Tracy DeMario, and I am your Scentsy Family Superstar Director. I'm so glad you guys are taking time out to join me tonight. And hopefully, you guys have all decided to join us tonight because you have great plans of also becoming a Superstar Director. So tonight, I'm going to just kind of walk you through my start, some of the systems that I have done over my time with Scentsy that I feel have been instrumental in helping me achieve success with the company, and hopes that you can take some of these systems and make them your own. We'll also have time at the end of the call. I'm going to go through some of this kind of quickly, and we'll have time at the end of the call. If you guys have any questions at that time, you guys can ask me, and I can either unmute you or you can type your questions as you think of them in the box on the left, or at least it's on my left. I'm guessing it's on everyone's left. So with that, we're going to get started. Some of you may or may not know, I recognize a lot of names that are attending, so some of you know parts of this, but maybe I'll have some new pieces, or maybe just hearing it another time, it will be helpful to you. I joined Scentsy in November of 2008, so I'm actually celebrating my 6-year anniversary this month, and I'm very excited about that. I joined Scentsy for Mommy Money, simply for something fun to do. I had been a stay-at-home mom, never sold a thing in my life, so I had zero experience. And you guys yourself, right? Thank you. Okay, so with that, I joined for Mommy Money with no expectations. I got my kit, and I was very excited. I got my Scentsy guidebook out, and I started reading it, and that's when I discovered there were some things I could accomplish, like in 15 days, get that starting the Shooting Star Enhancement Kit. And so I was like, well, I'm going to do that because I knew my friends and family were the type that if I had some product on hand, they would buy it. So I set up my launch party, and many of you guys know Diane Dreyer, who was a dear friend of mine for many years. She was my sponsor, and she came and did my launch party. My launch party was her first home party in her 2 years as a Scentsy consultant. So that's kind of a fun story for those of you that know that Diane, she had not done a home party until she did my launch party. I had a great turnout. It was lots of fun, had a really good time, and I got really excited about it. I also found that little did I know as a mom how much I needed to be around adults and other people, and I really liked it. But my family life, having 4 children, 3 of which were on the autism spectrum, was not going to give me a whole lot of time outside the home to do a lot of home parties. So one of the first things I did was I made my list of 100. You've all heard us talk about the list of 100. To this day, I still have a list of 100. Actually, it's a little more than 100 that I'm constantly working through, updating, adding, and editing. I made my list of 100, and I prioritized the people on that list that I knew worked outside the home. Because I'd been a stay-at-home mom, I didn't have a lot of opportunities. I didn't have any family that I could depend on supporting me with my business, and I didn't work in an office building with 5 employees or 500 employees. So I had to find people to find customers. Therefore, I went through my 100 list, and I circled everyone I knew that worked outside the home. I made it a priority to contact them. At the time, we had what we called basket testers. To get a set of all 80 cents, it was $85. So I only bought one set because of the cost, and I split it in half. So I would have 40 cents in one little bag and 40 in another. I contacted everybody on my list that worked outside the home, and I asked them, hi, this is Tracy. I just started selling Scentsy, and I'm super excited about it. Would it be possible for me to bring a warmer up and put it in your office and bring you some of the scents, catalogs, and order forms, and would you guys check it out, see if there's some things that you'd like, and if so, I'll give you the host reward. So that is how I started. I started doing that and going through and making a priority to find 2 places a week that I could get my testers out. And what, of course, happened was every time I went back, people were excited. They were ordering. They were buying Scentsy. And they were saying things like, many of them were, wow, this is so great. Everybody loves this stuff. I could totally sell this. So I would say, well, why don't you? And oftentimes they'd be like, oh, I don't want to take from you, or I don't want to hurt your business. And, of course, I told them, you're not going to hurt my business. That's great. I would love to have you on my team. Now, honestly, from someone who had 0 experience in direct sales, I didn't have a clue what the compensation plan meant. I didn't know how to read it. I did not understand the whole idea of sponsoring. All I knew is that Diane had said it's a good thing, and that's how she was making a lot of money, was having team members. So out the gate, I just, even though I didn't understand it, When people asked me about it, or if they acted interested, then I had them join my team. So people were joining my team. What was also happening is people were then asking me, well, would you do a home party? And I was like, oh, I've never done that before. I don't even like to go to home parties. I'd never been one of those party people. So I wasn't quite sure how I was going to pull this off. But someone asked me, and I thought, if I want to accomplish these goals, I'm going to have to do this. So I went and I did a home party, and it was tons of fun. I had a great time. The host seemed to have a good time. And again, I would ask them, well, this was really fun. We all had a good time. Is this something you would want to do? And early on, I made a priority of asking every single person that ever hosted with me. And I got to the point now where about half of them actually joined my team. Of course, when I was starting out, I didn't have all the objections to overcome, and I didn't know how to, say all the right things. So my percentages were not as good my first couple years. But now it's about 50% of my hosts do end up joining my team. And so I highly recommend, if you're not doing that, you want to be sure that you're doing that. One of the other things that I did was I immediately purchased Mary Christensen's books. All of you guys know, or many of you know, I'm one of her biggest fans. I love her books. I purchased her books, and they became my Scentsy Bible. I highlighted them, and I did them. I talk to a lot of people who say, well, I've read her books. Well, it doesn't do a lot of good just to read them if you don't go and then do. So I always say, when you know better, you do better. Once you read the books and they tell you what to do, you have to go out and practice, and you have to go out and do. So that's exactly what I did. One of the other things that I did my first month of joining was one of the local churches was having an event. The event cost $10, and I did not have a lot of product. At that time, I had 6 warmers, and I had 22 bars. But I thought, it's $10. I got to get myself out there, try to find some customers, because like I said, I don't have family that's going to buy from me, and you only have so many friends. So I had to find people. So I went and I did my first event. My table looked kind of sad because I didn't know what I was doing, but I smiled a lot and I talked to everybody that came by my table. I sold about $200 worth of product, the majority of which was ordered from me. I had one person sign up, and of course I got customers. So I loved it. I had fun doing the event, and I really saw that was something that I enjoyed doing, and it seemed like it was a good fit for me. So my husband, who at the time was still working full-time, and he was okay with me doing Scentsy, but wasn't overly excited about it. He didn't quite get the concept either. But in time, after a few months, I was telling him about how I thought maybe we could do some events, and so he found some events that we could do. We did a gun show, and he came and did the event with me. And because it was a gun show, and he liked going around and getting to talk to the vendors and seeing things that he was interested in, it was really nice because we were able to do it together. And while back in the day, remember 6 years ago, while Scentsy was not brand new, it was new to the Midwest, people did not have any clue what Scentsy was, and the concept of a light bulb was very comical. Most of the people walked by, and as we would tell them about Scentsy, oh yeah, right, who's going to buy a light bulb? That's the silliest thing I've ever seen. That will never last. Good luck, lady, because I don't think anybody's going to be buying that. And we heard that a lot. But fortunately, because my husband did have more of a business background than myself, he was like, Tracy, you don't just do one show and quit. We're going to keep doing the rest of these shows, because we had signed up for a whole series of them. And those first several shows went very much like that show. So it was very disheartening for me. I thought everybody would be as excited about it as I was, and unfortunately that was not the case. But we kept going back and kept going back. And many of you, some of you maybe even on this call, I met from those gun shows, and you ended up joining my team. So I'm glad that I didn't quit the first time I had a bad event. Same with home parties. I once did a home party where they had 3 guest shows, and I walked in and I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be a disaster. Well, let me tell you, it was not by any means my highest selling party, but I did get a booking off of that party, and one of the girls months later ended up joining my team. So we're all going to have busts. We're all going to walk into situations when we're like, this is not ideal. This isn't how we planned it. This isn't how we thought it was going to go. But most of the time, in the end, it will turn out in your favor. We cannot quit just the first time we have a bad party or a bad event or a bad customer or a mean person. I mean, it's going to happen. If you guys could mute your phone, I'm hearing again some background noise, so please be sure that your phone is muted for us. We would sure appreciate it, because otherwise we can all hear that. And again, another thing I want to say with that too is there are going to be mean consultants. Unfortunately, there are mean girls, and they do exist. I would hope they were not a part of the Scented Bliss family, but it is certainly possible. I mean, there's all kinds in every group and everything we do. And I can tell you, when I was first starting to do events, I ran into that on more than one occasion where consultants were not nice. They were hateful. They were rude. They were passing out their stuff to people. They were going around and telling people carrying my bags that they were local and to buy from them. And again, had I quit because of the mean girls, then I wouldn't be here today. And I can tell you for sure, one of those mean girls who happens to live in Missouri, she is a star director. So, and again, she was in Cincy longer than me. After 6 years, she's a star director. And I'm a superstar director, and I promoted in 2 years. So my point is, it's a good thing I didn't quit because of that mean girl, and because I play nice, I promoted, and I've grown a very strong and successful business while she's still trying, and she's going to have a harder time because of some of her choices. So always keep that in mind too. Another thing that I did, as I earned income, I made sure and reinvest in product. Now that is not something you certainly have to do, but I did find it helped me when I was talking to customers or referrals. It was easy for me to say things like, you know, I keep product on hand if you'd like to come by and shop for some bars. When I would go get my nails done or I would go to my hairdresser, I would always carry a tote with bars, and almost always I would leave with sales. And I'm not talking hundreds, I'm just talking a tote bag with 20, 25 bars. Again, my goal was to build my customer base. I had to get a lot of customers so that I could get my repeat business. Hold on, I got more background noise here. Please mute your phones if you're joining us. We would appreciate that. Okay, so I definitely want to encourage you, if you have the ability, to reinvest some in product so that you can carry product everywhere you go. I think that's really important because, again, the more customers you have, the more likely they are to be future hosts and to join your team. Okay, one of the other things is my systems. Whenever I would do home parties or events, I would take those order forms and I would staple them all together. So let's see, I probably actually, I'll just got through where they are. But anyways, I should have thought of that, but it's not hard to imagine. Your order forms, I staple them together and I'll write on the bottom, like in a Sharpie, it'll say something like Tracy's Home Party, November 2014. Or I just got done doing a holiday show, so I'll staple them together and put St. Joe Holiday Show, November 2014. And after I've entered all their contact information in my computer, because I want to be sure they're getting my newsletters, then they go into a folder. And every third month, I would go back through and call those customers and remind them, hi, I'm Tracy DeMario. I was a Cincy consultant at the St. Joe Show in November. I hope you've enjoyed your Cincy bars. And I was just calling because I have an order going in next week, and I was wondering if you needed me to add another 6-pack for you. And just trying to engage conversation. Sometimes I'll have little notes that I would have made, like they absolutely love Black Raspberry Vanilla, or they love the plugins, or they're a stay-at-home mom, or whatever notes I maybe had wrote on their order form from either previous conversations or from the event itself. Then I would tie that into my conversations with my follow-up too. And then I would rotate those again to the end of the third month. And every third month I went through and I made my calls. And I really believe that is how I've had a lot of very loyal customers. People used to tell me, I remember Diane, she would say, Tracy, in time you'll get online orders. People will just go to your website and order. And I was like, really? Who does that? Like, are you sure? I just can't imagine. And they told me I was going to have 500, in sales in order to get paid on my downline. Well, I was like, $500 in 1 month? How am I ever going to get those orders? And she said, Tracy, if you just keep taking care of people, you keep following up, they will come back to you. They will be loyal, and many will just shop online. And sure enough, after 8 or 9 months of being very diligent with my follow-through, I was seeing a lot more online orders. And to this day, I every month consistently get several $100s in online orders. I don't pay to be on the internet. I don't do any of that search engine stuff or pay to have Facebook likes, which some people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But all of my online business simply comes from phone calls, following up, talking to people, and building relationships with people. And I think that's really, really important. The stronger the customer base that you have, the more likely you're going to have for opportunities down the road. So focus a lot on taking care of your customers. If you always take care of them, they'll have no reason to go anywhere else. Also, many of them have become my Facebook friends, just happens. And in months will go by, and all of a sudden I'll get a little message saying, you seem to really do good at this Scentsy thing, or wow, I can't believe you're going on another trip. They're paying attention, they're noticing, and that gives me opportunities to talk about the business opportunity. I made a personal goal that I was going to sponsor 2 new team members and sell 2,000 PRV every single month. From the time I bought Mary Christensen's book, that was my goal. And while I have not done it every single month, some months, in fact, one month I sponsored 10 people. That was my best month that I've ever sponsored, was 10. And there have been some months when I didn't have any. So, it's not going to always happen, but I've always had that goal. And same with my PRV. At one time when I thought 500 would be impossible, now I pretty consistently can do the 2,000. And there's some months that I miss, and that's okay, but it's my goal to always, always do that. So you have to have a goal. Everybody's life situation's different. I was a stay-at-home mom. My husband worked enormous hours outside of the home, and I had 4 children, 3 of which had disabilities. So it was really easy, or would have been really easy for me to say, you know what, I don't want to deal with Scentsy today. I'm functioning on fumes. I haven't had a good night's sleep in 3 days. The last thing I want to do is call those customers that are due for my follow-up calls. But I also knew unless I made those calls, I was never going to get my husband home, which is what I wanted, him to be able to quit his full-time job and to be at home so he could help me more with the kids. And while he provided for us very well, and we've always been very blessed to be able to provide and have all the things that we needed, I wanted to be able to do more, give more, travel more. There was just things that I really wanted for my family, including a Christian education for my son. And the only way that was going to happen is if I, on those days when I didn't get any sleep, or when I wasn't feeling the best, or when I just really wanted to disappear for the day, I had to make those follow-up calls. And we're all going to come across things. We're all going to have our reasons, our excuses, and that's truly what they are. And I think it's really important when we're thinking, oh, I don't want to do this because, we need to think of why we need to do it. And you have to stay focused. When you're self-employed, and that's what you are the only one that can do the business. No one else can make the calls for you. No one else can go out and ask someone to join your team. No one else can go do that home party for you. You have to be committed. You have to stay focused. And it's so hard. It's hard when other people are telling you, well, I joined XYZ. You really need to do this, or you need to listen to this opportunity call, or I'm having a party. Come do this party with me, or, you're going to be pulled and you're going to be tempted. There's always going to be temptations. But if you stay focused and you keep doing, you will see progress. Everybody's journey is different. Like I said, we all have different circumstances. One of my dear friends that I've met through Scentsy lives in a very rural part of Colorado. She's been in the business longer than I am, and she's a director. It doesn't mean she's not working just as hard as I am. It means she drives 4 hours to do a home party. 4 hours. That's how rural she is. And so, everybody does have some things that might make their journeys look different. And it's not about how fast you get there. It's, are you invested, and are you determined to keep doing? And are you truly doing everything you can be doing? I get phone calls from people, I've done everything. I can't find any customers. I can't get any sales. I think I'm just done. And the reality is this. When people say that and you actually ask them, how many follow-up calls have you made today? How many information packets did you give out this week? How many people have you followed up with? Be very, very specific. And if you really ask those questions, usually it's like, well, okay, so maybe I haven't done that. How many people have you called and asked them if you could put a warmer in their place for a week? There's just so many things you can say, and the reality is they're letting their excuses get in the way of the opportunities that exist. Hang on, I've got a question here real quick. Yeah, someone said, as far as sharing like stock, yeah, you'll never see me post on Facebook, oh, I have stock, come shop. Instead, if I'm at a home party, for example, and I'm giving someone the receipt after they've placed an order with me, I will say things like, oh, I'm so glad you came to the party. I hope you had a really good time. I do Scentsy full time. I would love to have your business. And if you ever need any gifts, any bars, any light bulbs, I do keep some product on hand, and you're welcome to come by and shop. So it's always in those one-on-one kind of conversations. I want everyone to know that I want their business, I need their business, that I'm in business, I'm the real deal, and I'm serious about it. And I hear that a lot too. I ask people, do you have a consultant that takes good care of you? And sometimes they hem and they haw, well, I don't know. And, you know, if they have somebody that takes care of them, I'm always like, that's great. That's awesome. You've got Scentsy. That's wonderful. I'm so glad you do. But for the people that are like, well, I don't know, and I say, I appreciate your business. My family appreciates your business. I really want your business. More than likely, they're going to pick me because people want to do business with someone who appreciates it and needs the business. So be sure that you're saying thank you and you're expressing that too. Attending Scentsy family reunion. That was one of the best things I could have ever done. My husband was very resistant. He had zero interest in going. It happened to be in Salt Lake City, which is a great place to fly fish, and therefore he made it really clear, I will go, but I'm not going to attend the reunion. I'm going to fly fish by day, and you can do that whole convention thing. So I went, and by night, for those of you that have not attended, it's just unimaginable until you attend, and you need to make it a priority to go. But at reunion, there was lots of different couples and people. Everybody's hanging out everywhere, and we were asked to go to dinner with several different people who I had just met for the first time. So we went to dinner with them, and that's when my husband got to meet some of the other Scentsy men. And that's when he found out that, you know, Scentsy wasn't just a girly thing, and it wasn't just this fly-by-night thing. These were men that had quit six-figure income jobs to deliver the girls to ballet, to drop off Scentsy parties, to do whatever they needed to do to support their wives because they were make-ill. So that's when he really got the buy-in. So if you haven't been to reunion, I strongly encourage you to do whatever you have to do. I know people that have had bake sales at church. I know one gal who sold her wedding dress to go. I mean, seriously, make it a priority because it truly is that great of an investment. And if you happen to have a spouse or significant other, do your best to get them to go too. Because if you can get them on your court, it's so much easier. It's not impossible without them, but it's way easier and a lot more fun if you can. The incentive trips. I've earned 13 incentive trips, and it's been amazing, every single one of them. Some of you that haven't been, I can tell you, if you've traveled nice, there's a whole different level of nice when you travel with Scentsy. Scentsy style is above and beyond anything you've ever experienced. So what I do is every time they have a trip that they announce, I find out what are the qualifications, and then I break it down. What does that mean for me? And what are the actions that are going to be necessary for me to earn those trips? And that's what you really need to do. You have to have a plan. This does take planning. It takes goal setting, and then you have to go and you have to do. And you have to keep saying, I'm going to, I'm going to, I'm going to. There's no quitting. There's no getting frustrated. I mean, I know right now people have been hemming and hawing about certain things, and I'm like, people, we are business owners. As a business owner, there's always going to be hiccups. There's always going to be bumps. It should be expected. There'll be many, 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 many more. However, for those of us that stick around, we get to reap the rewards. So we have to just work through them. Ask your upline. If you're struggling, you don't know how to handle a situation, that's why you have upline. You need to go to them and you need to ask for help. But under no circumstances do you ever allow the words quit in your vocabulary. It's dead. Doesn't exist for you. One of the other things that I want to be sure to tell you is, again, people say, well, I don't know how to find customers like you. I don't have a lot of family. I don't know who's going to buy from me. When I go to restaurants, when I go to banks, I'm always sure to leave a business card with a scent sample, a product list with a scent sample. Every time you pay your check, be sure you're putting it in there. Every time you go to the bank, everyone that sees you coming and going needs to know you're the Scentsy lady. And it's okay if they think that's the Scentsy lady. That's a Scentsy lady. That's okay. You know, I'm not harassing. I'm not bugging them. I'm just giving them a sample. I'm just leaving something. I'm wearing it. They see it on my cars. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being known as the Scentsy lady. That's what's going to give you business. And people will watch. People will pay attention. And as you start to have more success, they're going to notice. And for some people, that's exactly what it's going to take for them to join your team. But you don't want to pre-qualify anyone. Be sure you are asking. If you are not asking 3 to 5 people a week to join your team, then you're not asking enough. You're going to hear a lot of no's. I have a lead folder that has, let's see, this is my lead folder, and I have got gazillions. These are all past people that have said they were interested in becoming a Scentsy consultant. I will not throw them away. I don't get rid of them. They do not go anywhere until they tell me to get lost or they're not interested. And so for that reason, they're in my lead file. Some months I will send them a flyer with the warmer of the month and a scent sample. Some months I'll shoot them a text or send them an email. Some months I'll pick up the phone and I will call them, but I make sure about every month I do some form of touch with them. And I've had people as much as 2 years that have actually, oh yeah, Mr. Evan coming and going, as much as 2 years that have joined my business. Again, I want them to remember, if I'm ever going to join Scentsy, it's going to be with that lady that keeps in contact with me every month. She's always sending me a new catalog, a new flyer, telling me about the specials. That's the lady I'm going to join with. And again, you don't know a person's circumstances, but it may be the right opportunities next month. So no does not mean no. It just means not right now. So be sure you're doing a good job with your leads. Again, I want to be sure that you know that training is critical. Those of you that have made time to get on this call tonight, I hope that it's helpful. But there are times when I'm like, I don't need to know another thing about host coaching. I know everything there is to know about host coaching. But if I see there's going to be a training on host coaching, guess what? I attend. I go. I encourage you guys to go. And then I listen. And every single time I pick up some little nugget that I can use. So we never know too much. There's always more to know. Let's see. Hang on, I'm reading something here. I've got somebody who said it took her over a year to join. So yeah. Anything here? Okay. Okay. Got it. So anyways, I want to be sure that you guys are doing a good job of that. Sorry, my eyes starting to water now. I'm really not crying. But that's really important because I hear that a lot too when I'm out, is that, well, someone asked me once, but I don't have their information or they never got back with me. You need to be sure you're staying in touch with everyone. The key to success, and if you want to grow quickly, then you need to be asking. And you need to ask yourself, am I asking enough? Do you have information packets? And then the other thing is, of course, you have to continue to spread the word that you're the Scentsy consultant. Everyone that knows you needs to know you're the Scentsy consultant in town. Everybody your husband works with, everybody you work with, everybody you went to school with, they all need to know. If they don't know you're the Scentsy consultant in town, then you've got a lot more work to do. So I hope this has been helpful in some way. Do any of you guys have any questions for me? I was trying to go fast so we could have some time for questions. Okay. Yeah, Christina, you promoted, I know, really quickly. It took you over a year to join, and I can tell, I know you've been moving up the ranks quick. Okay. Okay, none of you guys have any questions for me? This is your time to ask. Wow, I think this is the first. Oh, hang on. Okay, someone does. I have a page and a half of notes. Well, that's good. That's good. The other thing is, too, is if you find that you're going to have a week, if you're looking at your life calendar and you're like, oh my gosh, this week is going to be horrible with your personal life and things that are happening, you still need to dedicate some time to your business. Maybe that week it's not as much as weeks before, but you have to make time, even if it's just 15-minute chunks to make some follow-up calls. Again, because if you're not following up, they're going to find a consultant that does follow up. I hear that a lot, too, when I actually do some phone calls or I run into people, my customers, or I deliver their packages, or I see them at ball practice, and I ask them how they're enjoying their Scentsy. I hear comments all the time say, I've bought Scentsy for 2 years from this gal at work, and she's never once asked me how I liked my product. So it really does make a difference. Okay, let me read something here real quick. Okay. What's the best way to approach a situation with a potential recruit who keeps putting you off or making excuses about joining, and you don't want to pressure them? Well, for sure, keep them in the loop like you are doing, you said you're doing. But I actually just come out and ask, what is keeping you from joining? What are the reasons that you have not joined my team? I want to just, you can help overcome right away. If it's money, then help them come up with a savings plan. And I even had one gal that I was like her accountability partner, because for her, the $100 was a huge investment. And so I would stay in touch with her. Okay, how's our piggy bank looking? How's our joint account looking? And I just stayed in touch, and it did take her about 6 weeks, but she finally did get the income, and she was able to join. So, hers was money, and I don't know, because I was very blunt but open and honest about it, and kind, of course, as well, she felt comfortable to tell me. Sometimes it's the husbands. Well, my husband just doesn't think I should do it. He thinks it's just one of those scams or one of those deals, those pyramid things. And I'll say, hey, is there a time I could talk to your husband? I would love to visit with your husband and help him, answer any questions that he might have. So helping them break down the barriers, oftentimes it's just the fear that they're going to fail. And you just have to keep building the belief, building their belief and building their belief. Because maybe they have joined 15 things and they've never been successful. Or maybe they really want to do Scentsy, but they just need someone to believe in them and give them the belief that they're going to be beside them to help them along the way. Okay, got a couple here. Let's see, oops, let me move up. Sorry. Okay, as someone that is still semi-new, what are realistic goals for the first year plus? Well, everybody's goals obviously are going to be different. I did not know prior to Scentsy that I was a very competitive person, and I am. So when I got my guide and it said, 515 days, I did 515 days. When it had the sensational start levels, I planned on earning sensational start level 3. I didn't. I fell short. I earned level 2, but I had a plan and I had goals. Then when I realized that in order to really make some income, I needed to sponsor people, that's when I made it my priority for 2 new team members a month and 2,000 PRV. And I didn't do that for several months, but that was my goal. I promoted to director in 5 months, and I made superstar director in just over 2 years. So, and that's still happening today. I mean, there are still consultants who join, they promote to director in 4 or 5 months. There's still superstar directors who are hitting the numbers in 2 years. There's others that have been consultants for 10 years and have just made superstar directors. So, it really looks different depending on what your goals are and what you want to achieve and your personality. Like I said, I was one that I was like, oh no, I'm going full game, I mean business, and so that's why I had set my goals. But you have to determine what's realistic for you. But it's certainly doable to make a fast run at this if you would want to. How many hours do you spend a day working your business in some way or the other? It's very different for me now than when my first couple years were probably my busiest and most stressful, trying to balance all of the family stuff, especially because my husband was outside the home working 80 or 90 hours a week, so he was not around much, and dealing with the children. It was a very chaotic and insane time. So I felt like I was working 24/7, not just Scentsy, but just everything in general. And for about 2 years, it really did seem like I was either, taking care of children, delivering Scentsy, sorting Scentsy, labeling Scentsy. That's pretty much what it was like. But I have to tell you, after about year 2, and once I got my husband home, it's very different now. Some of you may know my daughter had to have spinal surgery in 2010. And she actually ended up having to too, because unfortunately there were some complications. And so she was in and out of Children's Mercy for about 3 months. And during that time, say hi to Joe, he just walked in and out. During that time, I was able to be with her the whole entire time. And at that same time, my husband was able to take care of our children. Our mortgage was still paid. Our cars were still paid. All of our bills were still paid. And in reality, I wasn't doing home parties. I wasn't doing events. But because I had built a strong customer base, I still had customers who were ordering, placing orders that kept us in business so that I got paid on having a downline. And that's one of the other blessings of building a team, is that if life happens and you do need to kind of check out, even if you just do the minimum, because you built a team, you still have income that's coming in. And life's going to happen to all of you. It happens in my house a lot. I think Raintree Drive, my house is just like got that cloud that's just constantly happening. But now I am very blessed. For example, we had an event last weekend and this weekend, and now I don't have any other Scentsy on my calendar until December the 2nd and 3rd, which were just a couple day shows that I'm doing. And I do that on purpose because my kids are home a lot in November and December from school and such and with the holidays. So I just choose to do very little as far as my business goes. And I can do that because I have 1,200 of you in my group that are out there working your business, and that's what blesses me and gives me that opportunity. So that's why building the business and bringing on team members is so critical if you want to have more free time and more opportunities to work less and earn more. Now, this is obviously work. I still do my follow-up. I usually try to have a couple hours a day that I dedicate solely to phone calls, emails, messages, and then with my phone, many of you guys know they're in my group. I keep my ringer on when I'm available. When my family needs me, my ringer goes off. So whether you're calling me, texting me, Facebooking me, if I'm at a baseball game or we're having dinner or whatever we're doing, I just turn it off. Some superstar directors I know have business hours, and that seems to work great for them. For me, I don't think it would, because the majority of my group have all different lifestyles and needs and times and such. And I figure, if my family's all good and 3 in the morning and I'm up, why not check my messages and take care of people? In fact, I have some of my best work, it seems like, after 9 o'clock at night when all the kids are down. So, that's kind of a hard one to say, too, as far as how many hours. But I will tell you, maybe it's work, but as far as messaging and Facebook, it doesn't feel like work. And I stay in the home a lot, which I love. I love being available and having access to my kids and spending the majority of my time now focused on training my team and group versus all of the traditional consultant type of activities. So I hope that helps, Jennifer. Okay. All right. Yes, your goals certainly will change, yeah. Okay. Have you always been able to walk up and talk to people the way you do? Are you uncomfortable with that at all? No, I guess I've always been a talker. I didn't know I was, but I've always done public speaking all through. I was in student council, and I was actually in, some of you will be surprised to know, FFA. And I did a lot of extemporaneous and public speaking at the state level there. So I've always done speaking and been extremely comfortable talking to thousands, hundreds, thousands, it doesn't matter, people. And then with my Scentsy, it has never been difficult for me either. So that is just a gift that I guess I have, because I've found that others it's not as easy for. However, if you ask me to write something, I will just choke up and die. I'm a terrible writer. And you guys know I am horrible at technology. So we all have our strengths and weaknesses. I guess mine is the gift of gab. So yes, I am very comfortable. I have spent a lot of time, though, training on overcoming objections, practicing as I'm driving in the car, when I'm going to my party, my script, if I want to change up my script some. I go over things a lot, just constantly, in the shower, whenever, wherever. So I do practice things that I'm going to say and how I'm going to overcome objections, so that when that opportunity presents itself, I'm somewhat prepared. Okay, let's see. I'm pretty new, but I have a large list of email contacts from a previous job. Although Scentsy sends out emails to my contacts in my workstation, how often is it acceptable to send out updates and promotions I'd like to do with my business? Well, again, I'm not real savvy on the technical aspect of it. So besides the once a month email, I don't do any other emails. I do, however, like I mentioned to you, about every month I do some kind of touch base with my recruiting leads of some kind. I do the same with my really good customers and my past hosts. So I have a similar folder just like this, and that I'll send like the warmer of the month flyer. Like I don't send, there's probably 100, I don't know, maybe 80 to 100 leads in here. I'm not going to every single month send them a flyer or send them something in the mail, because that would be quite costly. But about every third month, I want them to get something in the mail. About every third month, I want them to get a phone call from me. About every third month, I send them a text message. And so that every month they're hearing from me. Same with my good hosts and my really good customers. And you can define your own, what you mean for good customers. For me now, it's anyone who orders over $50 on a consistent basis, or someone who just makes multiple purchases in the year. But for you, $25 might be, when you're starting out, I mean, everybody's a good customer. So you kind of have to determine what that is for you. And you can certainly, I wouldn't want to send too many emails, and I really don't know how well and effective emails are. I'm hearing, social media, of course, is all the rave, but I don't have a lot of background and knowledge on that and haven't taken time to really learn a whole lot with that. But I find still to this day, picking up the phone and good old post mail. I mean, I get a lot of calls whenever I do mailings from postcards and from flyers and such that I send. So I still think the mail, since so many people don't do the mail anymore, I think you stand out better that way, especially if you make it smell good with room sprays or scent samples. And of course, phone calls, because it's like a thing of the past. No one wants to pick up the phone and call anymore. That's just my opinion. And for those of you that are shy, or it's hard for you to talk, again, then, maybe, you need to keep working on that. You have to put yourself out there so that you do get comfortable. That's going to require you to practice, obviously. But also, then find what is your strength. Maybe your strength is social media. Maybe you're good at writing, so maybe you start a blog. I mean, you got to figure out what is your strength and keep working at that. Use that to your advantage in your business. Maybe you're really creative, so you can make really cute things that you mail out, or really awesome packaging whenever you hand out stuff to your customers. And keep working on the talking part and the scripts. For me, some of you guys have seen my stuff. It's pretty pathetic. I'm not crafty at all, so I would never win a contest. But at the same time, I hope, because I take really good care of them, I always call them back, I'm always very attentive, I'm very timely in their orders, that they would still choose me to do business with, versus, someone who may have a beautiful package, but they're horrible customer service. So just find your strengths, focus on that, and keep plugging along. Sorry, I'm reading. Having a hard time giving people giving their phone number and their mailing address. Well, for one thing, whenever they purchase, warmers from you, you want to be sure that you're telling them you need them to fill out the top part of that order form for their warranty information. You want to put them in their system, in your system. That way, if they ever have any kind of electrical issues, you then can get back with them and you can take care of them. And that way you can look them up in your system. So that's an easy way for me to get their contact information. The other thing that I do is on my catalogs or on my info packs that I carry with me, I put a Post-it note. And that way, wherever I'm at, if they're like, oh, you sell Scentsy, oh my gosh, you have a catalog, or do you do very good at that? Can you really make some money? And so I start talking about the information, about joining the business, and I give them an info packet. I will say, absolutely, I would love to get your information. I want to send you some follow-up email with some videos that tells you a little bit more about our company and about our business. So if you would give me your email, and I write down their name and their email, and then I say, and if you'll give me your phone number, I want to check and make sure you got that email. Because oftentimes it can go to spam, and I don't want you to think I wasn't following up with you. And 99.9% of the time, they have no problem giving me their email and their phone number. Now, these are more the on-the-go type of situations when I'm pulling into the pharmacy or I'm at the grocery store and people kind of ask me. When I'm at home parties or events, I always make sure, though, that they have completed the entire top part. And I just will simply hand it back to them or ask them, oh, can I go ahead and get your phone number? Can I get your mailing address? Can I get your email? I just ask. I do probably 1 out of 21 people say that they don't want to give me their email, and I'm like, okay, that's great, no problem. I'm not going to make them. They don't want to. So, but the majority, as long as you ask and you're kind and you're nice, I also let them know that, a lot of times we'll have specials, and I want to be sure to make them aware of the specials. So that seems to work for me. I have my first vendor show this week, too, actually. Is it more important to focus on sales, bookings, and recruiting? Again, you have to know what your goals are. For me, it's always been about sponsoring, mostly because with parties, my life would not allow me to have a calendar full of home parties. I do believe that having home parties is the #1 way to build the strongest direct sales business. So if your life will allow you to do nothing but book home parties, then that is the definite way to go. Book those home parties up because you'll build the strongest, fastest business that way. But if your life's like mine and you maybe have 2 nights a month that you could get out and do a home party, then what I would do is I focused specifically on sponsoring. I tried my best to always find a way to have that conversation with someone. But so you kind of got to look at your situation. Sales are important. Obviously, you want to cover your costs. But in reality, that should be like the last thing that you should care about. Sponsoring and bookings is your business for the future. Sales is only in the moment. So yes, and you want to help them, you want to get their business, but at the same time, if they're spending $125 on product, you absolutely want to say, you know, you obviously really love Scentsy, and I want to be your consultant, and I'm so glad that you want to purchase these items. But have you given any thought about being a Scentsy consultant yourself? Because for $99 plus tax and shipping, you could actually get the kit. You could order this plus add another order and get free and half price items. So even if you don't do anything but do this as a hobby, you know, this would be a great way, and I would be happy to help you and support you and give you information so that you can do this with your friends and family and have some fun and earn some mommy money. You know, so definitely want to be sure that you're offering the opportunity to people who are making big purchases. If they tell you they have 18 warmers, they love Scentsy, everything in their house is Scentsy, those are people you want to definitely be pitching the opportunity to. People who say, oh, I really love it, $40, oh, I can't afford it, those are the people you want to pitch the bookings to. And then at the parties, you want to study up, make sure you do a good job on your host coaching, and of course your goal is to flip the host. So that's kind of another guide you can use too. Go for recruiting first if you can fit it in and find the conversation. They don't have the means, go for the bookings, and sales are going to happen. So that's just my opinion. How many times and how often do you ask someone to join, especially if they are buying weekly or monthly? Well, in my lead folder, really, I just touch base with about once a month. I mean, I'm going to ask them if they bought from me like 4 times, for example, I'll be like, okay, girl, seriously, why haven't you joined my team yet? And I'm going to let them tell me what that is. If they just say, absolutely under no circumstances, I'm never going to join, so don't ask me again, well, I'm not going to ask them again. So, but that doesn't, actually, I don't think that's ever happened. So that's just kind of my guide, but I wouldn't ask them more than weekly or monthly unless they've given you a reason to. But after every party, if they host, I would ask them again. And after every time that they make a big purchase, I would ask them again. If they're referring lots of people to you, I would ask them again. And just say it, just have fun and just be genuine and just say something like I just said, you know, okay, girl, you keep sending me people and I'm so thankful. Thank you very much. But these could be your clients. You could be in business, make some money. Oh, you don't need the money? I'm sure you have an organization you would love to give the money to, you know, just help them see how they could be doing this to join your team. And the other thing that's really important to remember too is, you know, sometimes it's easy for us to be like, oh, they're never going to be able to sell anything. They don't know anything. They're not very smart. Whatever your things and your reasons are, they may never do much with the business, but you don't know who their cousin is, who their neighbor is, who their sister is, who their boss is. That might be like, oh, you're doing that Scentsy thing? I've been thinking about joining Scentsy. And then they join, and they turn out to be your gold mine. So you don't know who someone knows. So you want to take people for who they are, and life can happen and life can change, and their path can change with the business too. So respect them for where they're at in it, but know that you want to offer the opportunity to everyone. I can get email addresses, but never thought about the warranty info. Yeah, it's very natural because, again, that way you can say, you don't have to keep your receipt. I'll have you on my system. I'll have all your information. If you ever have an issue, you call me. I'll take care of you. It happens. It works really good, Cindy. Okay, let's see. I'm having the worst time getting the host to provide all the customer info order forms on bag parties. That's the hardest thing. I still get some of those back, too. She's saying she's doing home and bag parties, and the hosts are not getting all of the contact information. One of the things that maybe I'm sure you're probably already doing this, is expressing to the host the importance of them getting those entire things filled out so that you can honor the lifetime electrical warranty. When you say something like that, that does help. I think, oh, that brings more alarm or concern. And worst case, if they just give you a phone number, then you can, of course, when you do your follow-up call, say, can I please get your address and your email so I can put you on my system in the event you ever have any electrical issues? I want to be able to pull you up, and that way I can warranty it for you. It's just, you know, wording, but I don't know how you make it. Like I said, I got one back recently, and like half of them I had names and phone numbers, which of course I'm going to call them, but I'm like, really? I told you, lady, I need all the information. But we can't beat it into them. Okay. Yeah, and like I said before, bookings are definitely, if my life would have allowed it and still would allow it, I would be a booking queen, and I would party, party, party. that gets you before a lot of people. And that's when people get to see you. They get to see you in action. They get to see how easy it is to be a Scentsy consultant. It's not hard to be a Scentsy consultant. You don't have to be perfect to be a Scentsy consultant. So it really lets people have that experience, gives you exposure to people you would have never had exposure to. When you do the home and bag or the bag parties, it's great in the sense that you get sales, and yes, you can do some follow-up, but it's a lot harder to build a connection or relationship with those individuals versus when you've spent some time with them. Plus, you were able to find out as they were talking and hearing them say, well, this is such and such sister-in-law who just moved back from Mexico, or, different information that works at a vet office that you can then use in developing those relationships with to give you more opportunities for bookings and for hosts. So definitely go for the bookings whenever you can and if your life allows it. You can get the address and the phone number from their checks. That's a good point. Yeah, and Rhonda said, yeah, reward your host for getting all the information. And absolutely, if you can come up with an incentive and say, hey, if you bring me back all of your order forms and they have all the contact information, I'll give you a free bar of your choice or something like that. That's a great idea. Oh, you get names only. Ugh. Okay, she's saying that she just gets names only. That is not good. And she even highlights the forms. Okay. Wow. Well, all you can do is stress that. I don't understand. That's, yeah. All you can do is keep trying to stress it because clearly your host should want them to have their warranties taken care of, and you can't do any follow-up if you have no information. Just keep doing what you're doing and hope you get only a few of those. That would be frustrating. Okay. I hope this has been helpful. I want you to know that, everybody's journey, like I said, is different. The biggest thing I can tell you is that life is going to happen to each and every one of you. There's going to be lots of reasons why it would be easier not to get up and not to go to work. But if you really want to be a superstar director, and I say that, director is fabulous, star director was fun, superstar director is something that very, very, very few people accomplish. And so don't sell yourself short. I am living proof that regardless of your background, your income, your education, it does not matter. Anybody and everybody has this opportunity. And so I just need you to know that if you stay focused and do not allow those distractions to get in your way, there's absolutely no reason, except the fact that you quit, that you can't do this. So, one more thing here. I started putting the drawing slips in bags with delivery and offer a prize to anyone that texts it back to me. That is if I didn't get all the info on the form for the party. That's a good idea. So if you just got their name on an order form, you can put a little note in there telling them to text it back to you. Text your address, your email, and your phone number back to you, and then you would put them in a drawing for a prize or something. That's a good idea. Or take a picture and send it back. That's a great recommendation. Okay, well, I sure hope that this was helpful. I hope you guys have not only made some notes, but you plan on doing. That is the key to this for sure. And don't ever hesitate to come to me, call me, let me know if there's something that you feel like we're missing as far as training or support goes, and we'll do our best to provide that to you. So with that, I wish you guys all a great night, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Good night.